Wellness, everybody. Welcome to my space, my place. This is Naja Rashida, or Rashida Silvertree here. So what am I reading? I am reading Myths of the Female Divine Goddess. And yes, it is written by David Leeming and Jake Page. Now, right, why would I read a book about, or written by two men about feminine divine energy? Listen, I'm not sexist. I just think it's a nice switch up, right? Because any books that I've written or I've read about the divine feminine and female energy, I will say, it's important to get the male perspective on such an ancient, powerful being, right? An aspect of consciousness that is just older than time itself. So yes, this is what I'm reading. I just feel called to tune in and and tap into that goddess energy and that feminine energy. Do I call myself feminist? Absolutely not. But my perspective on religion and patriarchal, what is patriarchal, what is matriarchal, how have both of those affected me, has come into play the older I get. And I realize what has been programmed into me and the things that I'm trying to deprogram out of me. I am a lover of all paths and religions, not so much on those who intentionally cause harm on other people. Like there's certain cults and certain religions that I'm like, like they use. It's very complex because it's like I can see the beauty of Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, and some others that are specifically that are so beautiful and so helpful and so needed, But at the same time, I can't vibe with the concept of in the name of our God, I'm going to destroy you. What? Again, dissonance. So, I guess the point of this video is just to discuss a little bit about, matriarchal. And I have a series called Rise of the Matriarch, which, for whatever reason, it triggers some men. The videos I've made in the past about that, like, it's not meant to divide. I am a woman. I'm a woman. And so I feel like I have a birthright to speak on the nature of womanhood and wombhood and the role of the matriarch in a patriarchal society. And I find that without the patriarchy wouldn't have existed without a matriarchal society first. This is my opinion. This is not fact. This is my opinion. This is not fact. And it's not meant to be divisive at all. It's just a different perspective that has been shoved and suppressed and retitled and flip-flopped and renamed and relabeled and just kind of jumbled up into a confused mythological mess, right? Oh, it's a myth. It's a myth-story. It's not, it's something when it comes to matriarchal energy or mater, or the mother energy, the feminine energy, the womb energy, it cannot be boxed. You cannot suppress and oppress and put her in this beautiful, nice little Pandora's box, right? You can't do that with feminine energy. She is chaos. Okay? You can do that with patriarchal energy, of course. That's why you have so many laws. For broken laws, followed laws. You have laws for the laws, for the laws, for the laws. You can write another law for another law and another law. You can, it's very structured. And patriarchal energy is very structured. You follow the rules. There's consequences. Laws are built for man to follow. Otherwise, men wouldn't be able to handle the chaos of women. That chaotic energy. They label chaos as a really dark, deadly thing, and it can be. We know so little, or I should say we've been forced to forget so much of the mystery of the womb. We have been forced to take the S off of God and focus on a God, an entity. My definition of God, goddess, those are entities to me. Allah is an entity to me. Jesus almost is an entity. It's just something that, like, anytime I hear the word worship, it's like a war ship. W-A-R, war. You're going to war on a ship. I don't like, because I like the etymology of words, and I like to see the symbolism behind the words and their meaning and their root words and all that. And in English is very tricky, okay? Because you can say one thing and say one phrase and it means something else. And if you don't understand the foundation of what makes up English, you can just be saying something that sounds beautiful, but you're cursing yourself, right? But, you know, this video, this message is primarily just giving the mother a shout out, giving the matriarchal energy a shout out. And there are some men who just get it. They get it, they click with it, they understand. The earth, Mother Earth, we breathe her breath. We walk. You know, the mountains is her body, the trees and the plants, they're her hair, right? When she sweats, it's hot. When she's cold, you know, we shiver. It's so feminine. She's life bringing and death bringing. Even in spirituality, they have this thing where the sun, which I'm reading in this book, they talk about how even they made the sun male. But there are lineages where there's a sun woman, right? In this book, it really breaks down a lot of the different archetypes in world culture, all throughout the world: Africa, Asia, the Middle East, Europe. I mean, ancient, okay? Like when they would make the little clay goddesses, the little figurines and stuff, where they paint in the caves. How caves are symbolic of a woman's womb, right? It's just, you know, I'm just here to say I'm not dividing. I think, if anything, I'm unifying myself with truth. Now, I can only experience that truth. I can't enforce that truth onto you, you know. That's not the point of this video. It's just, you know, check out this book. I think it's a nice way. It's again, it's in the perspective of, you know, the male interpretation of the ancient goddess. You know, it's different when I read books like this on analysis of feminine energy. When I read it and it's written by a woman, like Women Who Run with the Wolves by Clarissa Pinkola Estes, very different feel, right? Or what's another one? Aphrodite, like the stories. And I read that when I was super young, probably too young, but it was a book about Aphrodite and the wounded Venus, like sex love goddess, and the wounds of the womb, and how women would heal, right? And it talked about sexual transformation, and it talked about you know, incest and rape, and it talked about marriages that went sour, and lovers and ex-lovers, and spiritual connection and soulmate energy. Like, it just talked about so many different things, and I read that at around 12 or 13 years old. And, you know, so I've always been pulled to supernatural and spiritual and esoterica and occultism ever since I was a child. It's a calling of mine. It's something I just naturally gravitate to, you know. And so yeah. There's a beautiful passage in here where one of the authors talks about it was just such a beautiful description of the woman. Okay. This is called Okanagan Indians of Washington State. So that's in the northwest part of the U.S., or modern day U.S. To this day, tell the story of Earth as primal woman. I would like to read this section to you. No, this is not my work. I don't claim this. Okay. All right. But I just wanted to share this with you because I thought it was a beautiful entry to this book. Or the entry, the beginning, right? Of woman, of life. Okanagan, earth woman. The old one made earth from a woman. She was to be the mother of everyone. So the earth was formerly a human being and lives still, but transformed, so we cannot see her as the person she is. But she still has all the parts of a person: legs, arms, flesh, and bone. Her flesh is the soil. Her hair is the trees and other plants. Her bones are the rocks, and her breath is the wind. She lies, her limbs and body extended, and on her body we live. When it is cold, she shivers. When it is hot, she sweats. And when she moves, there is an earthquake. I thought that was very poetic. Especially men, writing like that. And I just feel like when you have that male energy tuning into the female energy, tuning into the womb, it's quite beautiful. And I feel, I don't know, there's something about men, and I'm not talking about like homosexual men or men who are, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about men who have that balance within themselves. It's like a unification with all that is, right? And there is a lack of separation. The illusion of separation is dissolved. And I have only met and been in certain spaces, and I've seen certain glimpses of that throughout my life, but not very often. It's always a certain glimpse, like in certain moments in like a relationship I'll have, or I see it if I'm listening to a lecture or I go to a spiritual talk. I'll see where that male energy will tune into that unification, and then I see it when they kind of descend back into the illusion of separation. Women do this too, but I feel like it's a different separation for women. When women disconnect from the mother, from the womb that they carry themselves, and physical manifestation, that's a certain type of detachment and separation that causes great harm to themselves and their community, their family and their community, their country, the world. Women must become unified within the self, and the world will follow. That's how I find. That's what I feel. And so to tie, I don't want to make this all political, but you have some women that, for example, I think of Michelle Obama, I think of Hillary Clinton, I think of, Kamala Harris, and these are three women that fit the perfect mold for a patriarchal leadership. They just do. They think like a man, and in a matriarchal power or a matriarchal society, that wouldn't fly, right? It's a different. Would I say that Hillary Clinton or Michelle Obama would be a perfect matriarchal leader? Absolutely not. I don't believe so. They're programmed themselves, and they've been programmed by the society that we're in to conduct themselves in a specific way that appeases to the patriarchal power. A true matriarch thinks of all people. They think of their son, they think of their daughter, they think of their children, but they also think of the children of other women. someone mentioned in an interview I watched where to see the true power of a woman, put a woman as president and then take her children, kidnap her children, and see how she'll react. Women are probably the most deadly when you try to take away their offspring. In nature, it's proven fact. A mother bear, a gorilla, a lion, you mess with their cubs, it's a wrap for you. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. I got bit in the face. Okay. Another example. I was about 3 or 4 years old in the middle of the boonies, okay, in the countryside, southern Indiana, visiting one of my great uncles, okay? And he lived out, he had some land, and he had a lot of dogs running all over the property, okay? I was about maybe 4. I think I was under 5. I don't know. I can't remember. But I do remember this. So I see a doggy. I'm like, oh, doggy. So I go up to the doggy. It was a dark doggy, right? And a dark coat. I didn't know that it was, I don't know, a Rottweiler. I didn't know. I just saw this cute, furry thing. And it had a tail and it was wagging. And, you know, so I walked up to it. And I was alone, no adult in sight. I walk up to the doggy. And I'm patting her. She's kind of near the entrance of the house, and there's like a bush near the entrance of the door. Petting her on her back, just petting her on her back. And unbeknownst to me, she just gave birth. She just gave birth to a whole litter of puppies. I didn't know this. So kept petting, and then all of a sudden I hear her growling. Okay? She whips her head around, and then she bites me right here, bites me on my face right there, and then nips me in my stomach, and then walks away. I scream, I run into the house. I'm pretty traumatized with dogs for the next several years of my life until I meet a beautiful dog spirit. He had a wonderful spirit. His name was Eli. I don't know if Eli's still alive, but he had an amazing, I just loved Eli. Eli loved me. And he was a dog of a guy I dated years ago. Everyone found him annoying because when he got excited, he would pee on you. He was very much a puppy. I mean, I knew him from like, he was just a little fur ball, right? So that healed that, you know, traumatic event. But yeah, I got a tiny little, see it? Right there. Right there. Okay? She's a brand new mom. She was just protecting her offspring. She could have bit my jugular. Okay? It would have been a wrap. Family would have been, well, devastated. Luckily, she didn't do more damage because I was a tiny little thing. God, she could have ravaged me, right? Luckily, I was protected on that day. Scarred, but protected. So I'm just saying, like, it's in a woman's DNA. Like, that mother bear energy is like, I've heard women do almost inhuman, like lifting cars up to get their baby who was stuck underneath a car. She had no help, but she just and lifted that car up and got her baby out. I've heard of many things of like a woman, she's sitting in her car, she's got 3 kids in the back, a complete stranger, kid you not, complete stranger hops into her car. I don't know if it was knife point or gun point, I'm not sure. And she made a decision. She goes, okay, because he was like wanted her to drive or wanted her to get out. She took it upon herself to just hit gas. She accelerated and crashed the car. She was like, if you ain't taking me out, if you're gonna try to take me out, I'm taking you out first. Like, she was and luckily everyone was okay. But women, you think men have rage and are violent? You try to take in a woman's the beautiful being she brings light, like, you try taking that away from her, it's a wrap. So I say all that I say all that to say this. You know, we often misunderstand And it's become so divided. Men are becoming more feminine and women are becoming more masculine. Oh, calamity. It's, I think, a lot more simple than that, but there's a lot of hidden knowledge and a lot of buried memories and buried information and wisdom, and that's just been hidden for so long, and we've forgotten our true nature as men and women. In a patriarchal society, it's like, here's your role, woman. Here's your role, man. And when you have something that's enforced century after century after century after century after century after century after century, that's unnatural, that's inorganic, that's only to serve a ego. If it's not serving the all, if it's feeding into the illusion of separation, things are going to get really messy, as you can see right now. So, I hope you're able to follow with what I was saying in this video. It's all about unification of man and woman, not this weird effed up version of confusion and just men or women want to be. I would never want to be a man. I don't want to be a man ever. Like right now, I'm blessed with what I got. I was meant to be in this form, right? And so that's what I agree that's what I feel comfortable with. But I'm also a woman in a patriarchal society which is slowly collapsing. I'm not a doomsayer. I'm not trying to the end is nigh. I'm not trying to be that type of energy or put that energy out. It's just, it is what it is. You have ages and cycles and seasons and cycles, and things shift and move. And sometimes when it comes to change, depending on how much we are resisting the evolution and the change, it can be very painful for many people. And the Western world and the slow societal collapse that begins from the inside out. I mean, when it comes to feminine energy is all about the life, death, life cycle. I've made videos on this about the life, death, life cycle. The only constant thing is change. And I find that in a patriarchal society, it doesn't do well with that at all. At all. If you don't go the typical, you don't follow the certain rules, you don't follow the certain belief systems, you don't follow this, you don't follow that, it's But now I feel like the great mother, the great womb of all creation is asking people to get with the program or get lost or be reprogrammed. I think that's all I wanted to share about that. I will title this Rise of the Matriarch. Make this a Rise of the Matriarch video, but this is primarily just bringing attention to the unification of the masculine and feminine energy, and that it is all one. And you have this no, it's always been male energy, it's always been the man stronger than woman, and that is just, it's not flying with me. It's and what do I mean by that? I'm not talking about physicality. I'm talking about the strength in spirit. I mean, look around you. There's life giving and life taking. And I want to be in the space of life giving. That's the frequency I want to be in. But yeah, may this message find you well and whole. I don't know how some of you will take it, but you know, again, I really would like to focus more on the unification of man and woman, and I just see the very nature of life as just very feminine and life-giving and life-taking. You know, I don't like just saying, oh, all men are violent and all women are docile. That's really stupid. I think that's really ignorant. Because you'll have women, you know, that will allow abuse to take place in their own households. It's a reality. I've seen it happen multiple times. Is that not an act of violence? Compliance? Is that not an act of violence? Right? We're so quick, I think, you know, when we're starting to talk about the goddess, like this soft, loving, supportive energy, she can F you up too. Like, she's a warrior as well. And I guess the main, you know, men who are triggered by these videos that I make about Rise of the Matriarch, I guess, is it because men will begin to question their role in society, which I see. Men are beginning to question, well, what can I bring to the table? Where's my role? What's my purpose then if women are taking over what men, you know, were cut out to do? And the thing is, if you are actively embedded in the patriarchal society, you're going to have a really hard time if that's your only way of seeing the world. You have to expand how you see and perceive things around you in order to openly embrace the change that is happening. The men, you know, like, I had one commenter who was like, this is very divisive, I don't understand this, you know, and I'm like, of course. You're programmed to be, this is man, this is woman, that's it, you know, or this is the role of man, this is the role of woman. Man trumps over everything. But see how important the woman is and the role of a woman is, because, you know, when women used to be property, like, I don't know. Now I'm blabbing, but if you could follow all that, great. If not, great. I don't know. It's not a big deal, but just wanted to share that with you all, okay? May this message find you well and whole. Take care.